Oh, shit!
Inhalation of nitrous oxide, Whippets, causes a transient lowering of voice pitch and altered timbre due to the gas's increased density, which slows sound wave propagation and shifts the vocal tract's resonant frequencies. Simultaneously, nitrous oxide induces acute neuropsychological changes by antagonizing NMDA receptors and modulating dopamine release, leading to euphoria, dissociation, reduced inhibition, and transient cognitive impairment. These combined effects can result in a slowed, slurred, or unusually modulated voice reflecting both altered acoustics and a disinhibited, intoxicated mental state.
The whippet in my body.
Rockets decided to go on Mr. Questionable Sexuality in Regards to Children, Patrick Melton's podcast, with just a gaggle of characters that I couldn't be asked to know who they are. And one of the characters on here is a certain Keanu Thompson. Now, this whole thing that people call the Dabbleverse, which involves like trolling Aaron Imholte, Nick Rekieta's former lover, I don't get it. I'm not going to give the whole history. I barely understand it myself. To make it as absolutely simple as possible to get us into the actual content here. Basically, it's a group of people who are trying to be O&A 20 years too late. All of them are all Opie and Anthony Walkers. They're specifically Anthony Walkers, which is funny because he's the one who had the career blow up and is now completely irrelevant now. And through some like bizarre chain of custody from Stuttering Craig to Gino Bisconte, if you don't know who these people are, you don't need to. They've somehow inserted themselves into the Rackets universe through Aaron Imholte. And so we have this lady who's in the bottom left, Keanu Thompson. She, from what I've heard, she comes in here strong and she basically just bitch slaps Rekieta. I'm going to put this at the outset. I am not saying Keanu is like great or a good person or anything. She had an OnlyFans. She is Eskimo sisters with her mother. I'm going to leave it at that. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. Don't read the post. It's disgusting. But she does come in here, and honestly, Rekieta losing to someone like this only makes the story better. It's the writer's choice. Having the antagonist laid low by like, it's like Wormtongue stabbing Saruman. Like the fact that Saruman, who had this little worm, this little creature that was next to him while he was the big dog, and then just gets stabbed by it, and then they both die to their deaths, is the writer's choice. The reason why Keanu's even part of this is because she's apparently friends with April. And I know that I've just thrown like 5 names at you. This is what I mean. I'm trying to like boil this down to just what you need to understand what's happening here. April was part of the polycule that Nick lived in. The polycule consisted of Aaron Imholte, April Imholte, Nick, obviously, and Nick's wife. And kind of Keanu leaving the balldo bunker occurred around the time when she was starting to get concerning texts from April about them missing court-ordered drug tests and about the use of Whippets. Which is like, it's just that, like, how can this guy go to this whole, like, I'm not addicted cope when you're trying to use the most bottom barrel? Because the whole thing about April is that, he was trying to say that they weren't together, but then he was shown with pictures visiting the apartment he put her up in. And then in here, he says he has him staying in the thing. I don't know. I'm not going to do any more prep work. Basically, the whole idea is this woman is not a good person. This man is not a good person. And maybe they're going to destroy each other.
I just didn't blame April for missing a drug test.
Okay, so you did miss the drug test.
Yeah, I missed the drug test.
Right. Did she or did she not
there we go.
text me and say that?
So the reason why this is important is not because anyone had any delusions about Nick missing a drug test. It's because Nick has this habit of lying past when it's beneficial. And I know that sounds like sociopathic, but that's because he is, I don't know if he's something, right? And so like sometimes he will, like when he lies about missing, which is something he has lied about. He said it in November. He said it in like August, around the time it happened, that he did not miss this drug test. So now he's going to say he did just to win this little argument.
I hear you, red-faced little bitch.
Look at him. He's changing color. This is like Ralph. Remember I did the stream where Ralph says that he turned purple. He goes Oompa Loompa mode and Grimace Maxes. And it fits with his shirt too. Like, how do you guys think this isn't all written? How do you think that there is not a divine plan to the universe when he's wearing purple and he's about to turn purple? I think what Keanu's trying to get here is Nick has dropped, like, April texts and is something that he dropped at Hackamania to prove that Aaron's a cuck. Now, again, as the other product says, it's kind of a suicide felt because by dropping those texts, you're also admitting you're a cuck, right? Okay, it's all in the grand scheme of Nick Rekieta, and in his mind, it's all going to work out in his favor. But anyway, she's trying to determine whether he actually had the permission to drop those, because from what I understand, what people think is that April has a new boyfriend and doesn't like Nick anymore. So him dropping these texts while they're on the outs is, like, pretty dishonest.
All about getting new permission.
Okay, so you don't have permission.
She's playing this like cross-examining like as a lawyer, and it's kind of funny.
He owns April. The new boyfriend owns April.
When did the permission go
Like she's
away?
trying to impeach a witness.
You have permission from months
She's
ago?
too dumb to talk to. You can't even.
The problem is there's no judge to like rein her in on some of the dirty tricks you can do as a prosecutor. So it's like,
What's wrong with you?
You
You
said
were in October. You
wait a
retarded.
minute. So
When was
according to Rekieta here, they stopped having sex. Again, it's so funny we're already to that. Like he's just talking about that openly. So he said they wouldn't have sex, but he gave her his like second house, and we know she was there because she was posting all these pictures. People put it together. It was like she didn't hide it at all. It was like she wanted people to know. And then that eventually got her moved to the apartment that also got doxxed. Again, not by Keanu. Keanu didn't do any of this.
Look how
April
red you are.
afterward?
Look how red you are. Would you? Shall I?
Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, dude, this is like he straight up's Ralph mail mode. This is grimace maxing.
I'm mad
Shall
at
I?
you.
Going to
Shall
ad
I?
What do you
hominem.
think?
Shall I?
Yes,
Shall I? I
you're
just
red.
was
Angry.
it January at the traffic stop, and that's how you knew somehow that her
March
boyfriend didn't
March
like.
at the traffic stop, you dumb bitch. You can't follow bitch.
When did you get the permission? When did you get the permission? When-
Oh my god, this is like the second appeal stream. It's so funny because, like, in the last Rekieta thing, I said, kind of jokingly, I was like, you know, if you're part of the audience, you want Rekieta to get back on the Coco and get appeal streams every night. And it seems like he took, I mean, obviously he didn't listen to my video, but I'm saying he's, like, taking that general sentiment to heart. Look at this.
Did you think-
Okay, so we have confirmation that Rekieta, at least this is his current story, right? He changes it every 2 seconds, but that he hasn't talked to April since January. Now, that means either the picture of him, his car, in front of her apartment is a fail dox, or it means he doesn't have permission for the text. Do you see how he loses? Like heads he loses, tails the other side wins. You know, like there's no way to win. Either he is lying and he's still meeting up with April, which is kind of what we're trying to determine here, or two, he doesn't have permission. He's not talking about Kayla. He's not talking about his wife. When he's screaming about this friend that you've destroyed, he's not talking about Kayla. He is talking about April. I know other people have said this. I've seen it, so I'm just going to repeat it. Has Nick ever mustered this much emotion defending Kayla, considering all the shit that was thrown her way? Not even after the arrest and everything, but before it. When people knew that Nick was off his bloody rocker when he was riding the Cosmic Highway, people would throw all this shit out there blaming... And who knows really how this sort of degen impulse entered into the situation, but people were trying to theorize whether it was her or not, and he never got this angry. Yeah, okay, so here's the problem though. When she said that, they were a couple, as admitted by Nick Rekieta, whereas now the situation, at least one of the storylines, because again, everybody lies so much here, it's hard to know what's really happening, is that April has a new boyfriend and hates Nick. So yeah, I actually do think you probably need to get like permission for that. I mean, that's like and you shouldn't do this, but there are people who, you know, when you're a couple or whatever, you take like nudes and stuff and send them to each other. And, you know, maybe you get permission to do something with them. I'm not saying like publicly show them. It's not quite the same, but do something with them. Obviously, when you break up, like you got to check in on like, what's the status on what you should do with those. Now, obviously, that's all very degenerate. I'm not saying really any of that is okay, but I'm just trying to make a comparison here that there was clearly a romantic... When you're in a romantic relationship, there's like a level of trust and level of transparency and exposure that's different when you're not. And so, yeah, I do think that Keanu has a point here about him getting permission, especially when he blasts them at an event like Hackamania, and they are humiliating for April. They're humiliating for everyone, but, you know.
And she said, you know, Aaron and I, sorry, I just did a hit of nitrous, and she sounded out of her
October 27th, San Diego, October 27th.
mind. Aaron told me I was nitrous.
Your leather face mom is chasing me around the Crawford house.
Someone should make an edit where it's him screaming October 27th, but they cut out the part where he says 2. So it's like him just screaming October 7th, and like make it sound like he supports Hamas or something.
Kiki.
Sorry,
Mountain,
Iteration, but I don't
thanks,
have
Mountain.
time for kids, all right?
There it is.
April.
I haven't done fucking
kids.
flow.
Keanu can't give birth.
Yeah, okay, so that's what the lesson here is. It's not that Nick Rekieta has a higher standard of responsibility because he has kids. It's that Keanu's infertile. That's the real crime here. I don't think she's infertile, but what my point is that's like what they're implying. That's the crime.
I'm sorry your eggs dried up and your husband's semen comes out in dust, but no one would want kids with you anyway. You're so fucking stupid.
Oof, massive L, doesn't want kids. I now don't believe anything she's saying. Okay, so then he leaves. He rage quits. So he loses that debate. If you rage quit, you lose. That's, sector rule number 1.
Shut the f up, you retard.
Okay, so he joins back. There's apparently a on-screen Whippet usage in this. That's what I've been promised.
Shut the f up, you retard. I held her as she cried,
Right.
talking to the St. Cloud Police Department, reporting the
So this is something where there's actually more than just Keanu saying he's lying. According to Josh, who I guess is in contact with the police because he's trying to get Freedom of Information Act for all this stuff, and he says 2 more weeks, guys, 2 more weeks on the body cam footage. We'll see. Again, I like to be optimistic about that. Apparently, he claims that he's either seen the footage or had it described to him that April totally did talk to the police and said that she had been staying there for a month. And he's going to say here that she didn't say anything.
Nick told me how to do Whippets, and I love him, and he's going to leave his
Why
wife
do you
for
keep
me.
changing the argument?
Oh, okay, so that's a new thing. Like I said, she already had told us that April claimed that he taught them how to do Whippets. And again, they do Whippets because it doesn't show up in a drug test. But also that he was going to leave his wife. Oh, no.
This is a bad tactic.
do
You keep
it.
like changing the.
No, I'm just saying. So maybe.
What does Whippets have to do with what he's asking you about?
No, Whippets has to do with everything because all of this is about drug use.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Oh my God, you're not.
Okay, well, I want to believe the context. I want to believe. I'm sure you're right, but I have faith, and it can move mountains. It can move the Whippet onto screen.
The worst person can't read the texts about
Okay,
you.
I can't read the text
You're
about you.
fucking
You're
bitch,
dumb.
yeah.
You're so fucking stupid. I
Some
don't
text
even
need
know how to do it.
permission. Some
Yeah,
text don't.
whenever
Read 'em.
Caleb,
Fine, it's like you're having a rap battle with a vibrator. You're so stupid.
and then send her back to this.
What did he say? You're having a rap battle with a vibrator? It's like a Rekieta classic, right there. This is like the appeal stream. Just shit that his attempts at jokes that make no sense.
He absolutely was. But take
Okay, so now we're arguing about. So now his argument revolves around what's real abuse. Got it.
some accountability.
I'm about to
You're
bust a
so
fat
dumb.
Oh shit!
He
Don't
ain't
stop.
doing it on his show.
Nick,
He
shut
said
up! I'm
he
going
did
to
it.
come.
Take some
He said he
accountability.
did it.
Yeah, well, the problem is, Nick Rekieta, you didn't say. I mean, I pointed this out. You can go back in the replay. He didn't say Aaron was abusive. He says Aaron's a wife beater. So, like, he can't come here now and say, oh, I meant emotionally abusive. That's not what beating is, dude. That's why I pointed it out. I paused and said, there's per se defamation. Because saying beating is per se defamation. Saying emotionally abusive or whatever, you can kind of weasel your way out of.
Shocked by the fact that she said that you were emotionally horribly
No,
abusive.
she told me what she told you. I know it's in the text messages, you retard. I talked to her for months afterwards. We were in a sexual and very romantic relationship for a long time.
I was in a sexual and very romantic relationship with my wife's girlfriend. This is Keemstar. If Keemstar ever got confronted on the whole cuck shit, he would sound exactly like this. And it would be, now he'd probably be, well, he wouldn't be sober because Keem does drink during the streams, but it would be a different sort of energy, you know?
And only
Well,
would
that's just
you
another
feel
house.
yeah,
It's not a
right.
side
Did
house.
you hear-
No,
did you-
it's a side house. My wife doesn't know about it.
It's a side house. Got a side house for my side hoe. This guy's living like Diddy.
So please stop talking
Whatever,
about it. I
your
really don't.
fair house. Your
I go into that house and out of that house and in that house and then
What, are you gonna pretend like the side house doesn't exist, Nick? Like, why even go through this part? Come on, man. It's like the sale record is public knowledge. Everything.
moans. It's really
Yes,
crazy.
to bone April when Kayla goes to the grocery store.
Sweet.
Okay, well, that was a cope laugh. That, like, some of this other stuff is just like massive cuck rage. I mean, that's the best way to put it. It's cuck rage, right? But that cope rap, that's because I think what she said is true. What she's saying here is that he would wait until Kayla goes and get grocery shopping, you know, for the kids that they're supposed to be taking care of, right? And then while Kayla is doing, you know, her motherly duty, Nick would call Kayla, or not Kayla, call April over at the side house, the side hoe in the side house, to come over and like climb through the window, right? And then get it on. Oh. Again, what is this claim that Keanu doxed her? Keanu did not dox April. I'll tell you exactly who doxed April. April doxed April because she kept posting pictures inside the house of like very specific. Like she basically covered the entire interior of the house with pictures. Like you could reconstruct all of it. And okay, let's say well, we don't want to victim blame or whatever. Okay, then fair enough. Kiwi Farms doxed her then, but it wasn't Keanu.
That's not what it was.
Why are you doing a show again if he was
Keanu, don't let them put you on the defensive to justify OF and all this shit because you're never gonna win. Just get back on the Whippets. Just start screaming about Whippets because then Nick will spurg out.
I thought it was. I thought it was public.
It wasn't.
No.
The reason people found out about it is because you mentioned it on your show.
I'm sorry, and I apologize.
Okay, so that's not the... Okay, so they just admitted she didn't dox them. So, okay, so because she mentioned something that had already happened, that was already public, that was already on the internet, someone who actually did dox her, because she mentioned that that existed on a show. Do we... Okay, is that really the standard of care we want to set, Nick? You sure about that, bud? Because there's been a lot of stuff that you've talked about on your show that's public knowledge, that's out there, that's like whatever. I mean, by that logic, Nick Rekieta's like doxed everybody, right? Doxed everybody in the sector. I guess she doxed Dark Ninja's dogs. That's what it's looking like.
About her new place.
Nick Rekieta doxed Dark Ninja's dogs.
Something. I had nothing to do with that.
No, you
That's
don't.
okay.
Unless you're, again, you're...
Oh, fuck. Do you know what that means? By this logic, I just doxed Dark Ninja's dogs. Because I talked about how Nick Rekieta talked about how someone else doxed Dark Ninja's dogs. And everybody in the chat right now is doxing Dark Ninja's dogs as we fucking speak.
Moody.
Half of this debate is Nick just completely ignoring her, like what she's saying or answering any questions. She's just screaming, you're a dumb, you're a dumb, you're a woman, you're a woman, you're a dumb, you're a dumb. And it's like, no wonder this guy could not stay loyal to his wife. No wonder this guy ran off like April, who he had made dependent on him and his drug connection. So you think that he'd have complete control because he apparently cannot exist with like women in the same room for any extended period.
Okay, no,
Sharing
doxing,
kicks
is
is
it doxing?
okay.
I'm sorry. People
You know, it's funny that Nick is having this stand against doxing now, considering that he had Josh Moon on like 3 times to his show and agreed with Josh's like ethical. Josh has like a whole thing about doxing. He has a whole argument about like when you draw the line. Basically, to sum it up, he says that it's okay if you're using publicly accessible information. It's not okay if you have to like hack anything or break any laws. That could be a whole stream debating about how like whether that is a good distinction or not. But the point is that Nick had him on like 3 times and agreed with his distinction. And by that distinction, even if Keanu did do what they're claiming, it still wouldn't be doxing under that formulation.
I'm talking for as your mistress, and I didn't realize it wasn't
with her.
She wasn't my mistress. She was just my extramarital girlfriend. Like this is literally Ralph. This is literally when Ralph said that like the prostitute was a potty girl and not a prostitute. Just you're gonna carry that weight, bro.
To protect April, you need to.
I want to see the
bring down
Whippets on screen. I know that our friend here is saying it doesn't happen, but if we all believe, if we all have faith, we can move mountains. We can move the Whippet into frame retroactively. Crazier things have happened.
one of her like pillars of support.
For all these guys, Nick's ball. Well, okay, so it's complicated. Yes, like on the face of it, yes, but it's also very clear that they're just using Nick because Nick is like Lucifer is like in Paradise Lost, like still falling down through the firmament. These guys are trying to like suck up as much of his like goo before he gets all the way down to the 9th circle and then is frozen for all time. So the minute like Rekieta is no longer useful to them, they will go back and try to suck someone else's goo.
He's like buddy now.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna. I need 20 subs and I'll read the sisters post on stream.
There's no doubt about it. You have hurt her.
How? Keanu, this is bullshit. How has Keanu hurt April? She didn't dox her. That's bullshit, and we've already explained why. All she's done is talk about how like Nick Rekieta is abusing her and be very judicious about like what she actually leaks. Like if anything, what I want for her is just go full bore and leak everything. But she hasn't because she's trying to be at least sort of a good friend. And again, I don't want to defend this lady, but this is just I don't like the term, but for lack of a better term, like gaslighting by these 3 guys. Nick will never look human again. Well, yeah, that's because you take on the physical form of the contents of your soul. So he will slowly turn into Grimace / Oompa Loompa / a zombie / whatever.
So
Sometimes you should judge a book by its cover, is what I'm saying. Not all the time, but more than they say. Look, This is him right in front of Aaron, right before it happens, right before what happens in the text that he dropped happens. So his family, that's referring to the fact that his house and the adjoining property, which is where April was staying for a time, were owned by the Philip Lord Trust, which is his family's trust.
Anyway, the phone records, what day was it, dummy?
So hot hoes have beautiful souls. Some of them, yes. In fact, attractive people actually tend to have higher IQs. The idea that like unattractive people, both women and men, are dumber is not borne out in statistics.
Oh, I think you're angry because you're just confused. Maybe.
Now, here's the thing you got to make the distinction. You say hot hoes. Hot hoes don't have beautiful souls, but attractive women can. See, the term is hoes there, right? And that's like a content. That's like a conduct thing. And what happens when you're a hoe for 20 years? Do you look good by the end of it? No. But you know what will always look good, regardless of how old you are? A woman with 400 grandkids. Because they have like a small army that uplifts them.
Extensive text and phone calls from her. What
What's
would
the
you like
last
to
one?
know?
That's it. What's the last one? It's the easiest question on earth. What is it? What's the last one? What's
phone call or
When's the last one? When's the last time I didn't have a mistress? She was just my wife's girlfriend's, my girlfriend's boyfriend's former wife.
I'm like an idiot. Please. All right, I gotta go.
Nick is actually a rabid goblin. If only Worski could be this animated, the case he might actually. So fucking true, man. So fucking true. If Worski was back on the Coco and was doing shit like this, and was like doing Whippets on stream to the point where it made him fight with PPP every stream over all the crazy shit both of them have said about each other, it would only last a couple episodes, but it would finally make the show worth watching. And you know what else it would do? It would make the show shorter. Like I said, my super secret subversive content strategy is try to cover whatever the lead is, like the actual content of Kino Casino before they get out of the beg segment. But they wouldn't even have a beg segment. It would just be pure content if they were both back on the Coco.
You would have April come over, and when she would leave the house, have sex with her, and then send her back next door.
So this is the third time she's made that claim. This is a crazy claim that Nick has had no response for.
Do I need to say more? Her in the face. Get red her in the face. What do you want?
I'm wearing a red shirt. Do you understand the camera's red?
Does this look like a red shirt to you, or does this look like a periwinkle? No, periwinkle's blue, right? It's a purple shirt, and then and you know she's calling him red in the face. That's fine, whatever. I just think it's more of a purple. I think it's a Ralphian sort of passed out on Zanny's type grimace Oompa Loompa purple.
Right.
It's the Imperial purple.
I know that you were going to leave her for April. Is that what you told her?
I told this story earlier today. I told April I would never leave my wife for her, and when I thought Michaela was going to divorce me, and I was...
Whoa, oh no. Why would you confirm that? Why would she be thinking of divorcing you unless there was a conversation about you leaving her for April? You didn't have to... Well, I'm glad he did, but that's so funny.
Massively
Then
depressed.
you were going to be with April.
Yes.
Real quick,
No.
Paul Shane. Everybody.
Yes? Wait, so he just confirmed... What?
Would you like to see them? I'll play them at
No.
Does this look like a man who's confident? It's looking a man who's confident when it's like marriage or anything. It's like the fact that this Keanu, like an extremely unreliable narrator, just her saying this makes you freak out. I think it's a combination of obviously it's all true, and he just has a thing with women.
What is so hard about this? Like, you're like talking to a box cart full of rocks.
If you listen carefully, box carts full of rocks can talk to you. They just don't speak English.
And that, you know.
No, what I told April was, I think Kayla is leaving me.
So what April told me.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's so much better, dude. So you weren't conniving to leave her with April. You just had a girlfriend in case you pushed your wife to the point of leaving you so that you would have a backup. Okay. So basically, Rekieta's point here is I'm actually more conniving. I wasn't going to just confront my wife and say, we need to figure this out. I was just going to push her so that she does it so that I can shit on her in the public space and then already have like the replacement lined up. Great.
I don't care.
What's wrong with you?
Lots. I got arrested.
Clearly.
I got my kids taken away.
Wow. How did you just get like double reverse proxy checkmated by that? The oldest trick in the book, which is know you, then admits to all of his crimes. Like
the person who had been doing that to them for 6 months.
I don't have any of them.
She put her life on display? No, I think the person who at least first put her life on display was her husband, legal husband, Aaron, who would have her dress up like a bikini and show up on the show. Then the second person to put her on display after she left Aaron was you, who was flaunting her around as your not mistress, my romantic girlfriend, my wife's girlfriend, my boyfriend's girlfriend, right?
So how come you're able to overlook all that?
Yeah, this is just bullshit. This whole arc where they're making her like relive her experience with abuse because it's somehow related to Rekieta, when the only person, like, Rekieta started this debate by calling Eren a wife beater. So why does Keanu pressing Rekieta about what he's done to April have anything to do about her previous abuse? Like, this is just retarded.
Honest.
Tons
Beating
of
someone so
physical
hard they
abuse,
can't talk is
yeah.
All of
beating
this is
them.
irrelevant. All this shit about Keanu's previous is literally just a false flag to get off of the actual topic here, which is what is Rekieta's current relationship with April, and confirmation about whether there was some weird wife swap plan.
That's fine, but I'm glad she's
Yeah, you
rid of
also
me
support
and
the
Aaron.
person who commit a crime against my wife. I hate you. I literally hate you. Why wouldn't I? You're disgusting.
You know who else committed a crime against their wife? It's you, Nick. Like, you, in most of American and world history, adultery was a crime. And you have like admitted, you are willing to admit your adultery, long-term, ongoing, knowing adultery in this stream, so that you can prove what exactly? That Keanu isn't as good of friends with April as you are? Your mistress. Go off, King. It is crazy that they have to bring out the entire Balldo brigade just to put down this like half-witted OnlyFans thot. Say this. When he says the crime, what he's referring to is that Eren supposedly disseminated revenge porn by sending a picture of Kayla to Gino. Okay, here's the thing. Such a picture would never exist if Nick did not have an open relationship with his wife in a giant polycule. Because think about it. Why would Eren have ever had it if Nick did not like allow his house to basically fall into anarchy on his own agency? So I'm not saying that's like a legal argument, but if we're going to be like screaming morals at each other about how it's so immoral that you're supporting this, it's like the person who supported the crime being committed against Kayla, the one who brought that evil into the world, is literally Nick. If Nick had just done the basics of being in a marriage, then Eren never would have had that picture to begin with. It's not like it was sent to Eren as a mistake. It's not like Eren took it without consent off of Kayla's computer, much like Nick took stuff without Eren's consent off of his. And I'm not like saying Eren's a good guy or anything, or that he didn't like technically fulfill the elements of revenge porn. It is also funny that he got away with that as a $50 fine, and that Nick acknowledges that, because it's like, look at how much he's willing to scream and spurg out over the mere implication that he's not best buddies with April. But the idea that his wife's honor is only worth $50 doesn't get anything.
It was no thing to send. It's a terrible thing to send. That's why I
Terrible
said
thing to
it
take
was
without
disgusting
asking, you
too.
dummy. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, well, you know what else is terrible? To invite another man into your home and have your wife send him pictures and then eat his goo. I think that's actually like worse, honestly. And none of this would have happened if you had not said yes to that. Like, if you're going to be, okay, if you're going to be this Christian man and you're going to believe in male headship of the house, everything that occurs, ultimately, the buck stops with you, Nick. And you can't have it both ways. You can't claim headship. You can't say that it's your responsibility to like defend this or get into this fight for whoever the fuck's honor if you do not take responsibility for what occurs. And ultimately, every single thing that has happened to your wife, all the stuff that you're talking about, the revenge porn, whatever, occurred because you made a decision.
Kayla could have taken the photo of herself and sent it to him with the expectation.
But that's what happened. Kayla did take the photo and send it to Eren because Nick decided to have an open relationship, which is why I say that ultimately Nick is what smuggled this evil into the world.
That it remains private. The crime happened when he shared it with Gino live on air.
And I thought it was
Yes, the crime happened, but not like, again, the crime is a result of a moral evil that was incepted long before any of the elements of the crime occurred.
But your husband didn't.
Wait, did he just drop in, scream, and leave? This is like the gayest like, you realize every single time he rage quits like that, it counts as an L. It counts as a like total debate L on his IBS fight chart. Okay, like if this is like the UFC.
He did.
So there's like 6 L's just in this stream.
He didn't though.
The rule I
Dude, I just didn't. I just didn't. Yeah,
When is Rekieta gonna move on to meth? Like, for real. If he just wants like an upper like that and he wants it to, yeah, I don't know. And it's cheaper too, you'd think. I suspect there's got to be Adderall involved in here because like I'm pretty sure like a dead dog could get an Adderall prescription. Like it's they give him out like candy, right? And so he's got that look. So obviously when you abuse stimulants, you don't sleep. You don't have real sleep. And he also drinks, which means that when he does sleep after drinking, that's not real sleep either. Like he doesn't get to REM sleep. And so he's like wired, right? But his body is exhausted. And that's why he gives off this like he's looking around, but then he also is like rubbing his face like he wants to fall asleep.
Then if
Nobody wants an apology. Nobody gives a. I didn't cry about it.
Look at him. Look at him. Did you see him? He's like that's like almost coke. Like,
well, no, you're like, she got my.
On my Twitter.
Oh no! He's trying to make sure we don't get another appeal stream where we see it on his nose.
Named Nick.
All right, everybody, put your drill together. Psychic energies. We're trying to change the past here and get him to pick up the Whippet can and put it in front of the camera. All right. Now you may say, well, how can you change the past? How does that work? It's a non-linear, like temporal concept. I don't care. Just believe, and it'll occur.
Fine.
Look at him. He's staring down. He's pondering the garden, guys. He's pondering the garden. Satan's offering him the bread. He's saying, I will make you Lord of this world. If you just take another Whippet and do it on stream right now, you'll finally be able to pwn this OnlyFans hoe in this super important debate about whether the woman that I had sex with outside of marriage was my mistress or my girlfriend.
You said it 100 times. Say it one more.
Can you count to 100? Yeah. Prove it.
Checkmate. Count to 100, bitch. Count to 100. Let's go. Rekieta W. We did it, Reddit.
So why is Aaron okay to be a business partner with?
A business partner?
He has to be high. Come on. Anyone who is saying that this guy is not zooted right now, come on. Yeah, can you imagine if she started? That would be base. That would be. Watch me. She just starts counting and she refuses to stop. And once she gets around like 30, all these guys just start going quiet because they've just been screaming at her for like the last, 30 seconds or whatever. And then it's just silence as she gets to 100. That would have been like Rekieta would have ended it right then and there. That's what would have been him pulling the Whippet out. He would have been just like, that's the way it is.
I understand. I'm the villain.
Okay. What's going on here?
So let's try. Let's try again. Why do you
What's
think?
the question again, Moody? I know. I understand. I'm the villain.
There's something here, and it ain't hair. There's a little bit here. It ain't hair. It's what the coke does to you.
I'm just fucking saying. I have to look.
Dude, he literally looks like those guys that are in like the meth house in Breaking Bad when Jesse has to get in, and so he goes in the backyard and starts digging a hole, and he's just like, the meth head comes out and asks him, he's like, what are you doing? And then Jesse's like, you know what I'm doing, to like take advantage of the anxiety, the meth anxiety. He literally looks like one of those guys. And I've gotten to the point where they've just repeated the same 3 things over and over again. I am just trying to find like rare Rekietas.
You do drugs, you dummy. You do cocaine.
I'm just so happy we're back to this Rekieta, because this is probably as good as the appeal stream is pretty legendary. There's some, I'll say this, the appeal stream is more quotable. There's probably like 30 timeless quotes in that one. This one though is pretty entertaining just to see him turn into Grimace, just to see the Oompa Loompafication of Rekieta. It's so funny. He's sacrificed so much, like his family, money, respect, to try to essentially in his middle age create this image of being the cool, connected guy. He's basically at the age of 42 or whatever, trying to be what every 17-year-old boy wants to be. And then usually every 17-year-old boy has some like bad experience, whether it be drinking too much and doing something stupid, crashing a car, maybe both. But then they like learn, okay, being an idiot essentially isn't cool. And then they grow up and become a normal person. I guess Nick never had that experience, so now he's doing it at 42 when he has all the money and responsibilities to make it so that behavior, like the impact of it, is as bad as possible.
How many times since college have you done cocaine, Keanu?
I can't remember a time since college since I've done.
This guy is a convicted coke haver within the last 6 months. Do not let him turn this conversation about your coke usage. What are you doing?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Better than you. That's the whole point.
Just fine.
But if you were on probation, how would...
But if you were as stupid as me, how dumb would you be? Whoa.
Did you answer the question?
Why wouldn't I admit to... admitted that
No,
I
I was
done
asking
blow
if you
before.
were on probation. How
Yes, if you were as dumb as me and had made all the same mistakes as me, wouldn't you be totally pwned though? Yes, Nick. Yes, a hypothetical person who has done the things you have would be pwned. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, hold on. Do you see that face?
You're all jerks, and
I think we
yeah,
can respect.
Hold on. You're gonna carry that weight. Oh no. He's literally Harry. He's literally the Disco Elysium guy. Oh my gosh. You know, the problem is, and you know what it is? It's telling, because the first time I played Disco Elysium, I played a sober run because I just want to see it's possible. Whenever I play RPGs like that, I always try to, like the first time I try to play the game in a way that at least my presumption is that they don't intend the game to be played, just to see if they like support the playstyle or the choices. And so when I first played Disco Elysium, I did like a full-on like redemption arc, total sober run, and it's one of the reasons why the game is so great, because it completely supports that. And so this is where Rekieta is now. This is Harry at the beginning of the game. Will he play the sober run? Now, if I was Rekieta's family, if I was his kids and his mom, I'd say, please, there's still hope. There's always hope. But as a member of the audience, I don't know. He's provided a lot of content.
worst person who could possibly be a friend to someone like April, and the fact that you
No, I think the worst person who could be a friend to April is one who takes advantage of the fact that she has a drug problem to have sex with her whenever you want, and to provide her with more drugs, and in fact introduce her to new drugs like Whippets that she's not even aware of, so that she can subvert and evade a court-ordered drug program.
it happen.
Rekieta got a total W here, denies that his girlfriend, his wife's girlfriend, is his mistress, admits that there was nearly a divorce, confirms that his wife is only worth $50. What else did we have here? Confirms that he failed a drug, or that he missed a drug test. Total Rekieta W, pwning the A-logs. Great job, bud.